Welcome to Mastering Enterprise Architecture, Strategies for Business and IT Alignment. Module 3, Developing an Enterprise Architecture Strategy. Hello and welcome back to EA Lessons, where we break down the art and science of mastering enterprise architecture. I'm Sir Arsel, and today we're diving into a topic that honestly sits at the very heart of successful EA: bridging the gap between strategy and execution. Now, if you've ever wondered why some enterprise architecture initiatives seem to stall or just never quite deliver on their promise, well, more often than not, it comes down to alignment, or rather, the lack of it, between the architecture and the actual business goals. So why is this alignment so critical? Well, if your EA isn't directly supporting your business objectives, you're basically building a very expensive, very elaborate house of cards. The architecture ends up disconnected from what the business actually needs, and that's a recipe for wasted resources and missed opportunities. The real magic happens when you integrate business objectives right into your EA strategy. That's when you get a roadmap that actually supports growth, agility, and innovation, rather than just ticking boxes. The process starts with a deep understanding of your organization's vision, mission, and goals. And I mean really understanding them, not just reading the mission statement off the website. You've got to get in the room with business leaders, ask the tough questions, and dig into what's driving the business forward. Workshops, interviews, reviewing business plans, KPIs, all of that. For example, let's say you're working with a retail company that wants to boost online sales by 30%. That's not just a number. It's a strategic priority that should shape your entire EA approach. You'd focus on things like e-commerce platform scalability, customer data analytics, and seamless omni-channel integration. Every architectural decision should tie back to that goal. Once you've got those business goals nailed down, the next step is mapping your EA components, applications, data, technology, processes directly to those objectives. This is where frameworks like TOGAF come in handy, giving you a structure for linking capabilities to strategic goals. If customer experience is a top priority, then your EA should prioritize CRM systems, analytics for customer insights, and user-friendly digital interfaces. It's about making sure every piece of the puzzle is there for a reason. And here's the thing: alignment isn't a one-and-done deal. It's an ongoing process. You need governance mechanisms, review boards, performance measurement systems, feedback loops, to keep everything on track as business strategies evolve. You know, when you get this right, it's not just about efficiency, it's about agility. An aligned EA lets you pivot quickly, adopt new technologies, and respond to market changes without having to tear everything down and start over. I might be rambling a bit, but the point is, If you want your EA to matter, it has to be tied at every step to what the business is actually trying to achieve. Now, let's talk about the people side of things: stakeholder identification and engagement. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't have the right people on board, it's just not going to fly. Stakeholders aren't just a box to tick. They're the folks who can make or break your EA initiative. So, how do you actually go about identifying stakeholders? It's not just about job titles. You need to map out everyone who's impacted by or has influence over your EA strategy. That means executive sponsors, business unit leaders, IT managers, end users, even external partners. And don't forget the informal influencers, the people who might not have an official role but can sway opinions or decisions. Once you've got your list, the next step is understanding what each stakeholder actually cares about. This is where interviews, workshops, and surveys come in. You want to get a sense of their objectives, concerns, and expectations. For example, your compliance officer is probably going to be laser-focused on regulatory adherence, while your business unit leader might be all about agility and integrating new tech quickly. Balancing those priorities is key to crafting a strategy that works for everyone. Engagement isn't just a one-off meeting either. It's an ongoing process. You need regular communication channels, steering committees, newsletters, dashboards, whatever works for your organization. The payoff for all this effort? You get better buy-in, faster decision-making, and a strategy that's actually grounded in reality. When stakeholders are engaged, they're more likely to support the initiative, allocate resources, and help resolve issues as they come up. I've seen projects turn around completely just because we took the time to really involve the right people. So, if you take nothing else from this, remember, stakeholder engagement isn't optional. It's essential. All right, so you've got your business goals aligned and your stakeholders engaged. What's next? It's time to get practical and build your roadmap for EA implementation. This is where strategy turns into action. And honestly, where a lot of organizations stumble if they're not careful. The first thing you need is a clear definition of your strategic objectives and scope. What are you actually trying to achieve? Maybe it's reducing IT redundancy by 20% in the next year and a half. Or maybe it's improving your time to market for new digital products. Whatever it is, make it measurable and make sure it ties back to those business goals we talked about earlier. And don't try to do everything at once. Prioritize the architecture domains that matter most right now, whether that's business processes, applications, data, or technology. Next up is phased implementation. Breaking things down into manageable chunks is the only way to keep complexity under control and show incremental value. Start with a baseline. Where are you today? Then define your target architecture for each phase. Create detailed work plans, set timelines, assign resources, and crucially, schedule regular reviews to check your progress. I've seen financial services firms do this really well by starting with something tangible, like standardizing application interfaces before moving on to bigger initiatives like data governance or infrastructure modernization. Governance and change management are absolutely vital here. You need a steering committee to oversee execution, clear roles for everyone involved, and a solid communication plan to keep stakeholders in the loop. Training is another big one. Don't assume everyone knows what EA is or why it matters. Build those competencies across your teams and set up feedback loops so you can adapt as you go. It's not always smooth sailing, but it makes a huge difference. And finally, keep your roadmap flexible. Monitor your KPIs, things like architecture compliance rates, cost savings, or time to deployment improvements, and be ready to adjust when things change. Companies tracked their progress with KPIs, and as they hit their targets, they expanded the scope to include data governance. It wasn't always a straight line, but by monitoring and adjusting, they kept the momentum going and delivered real value. So, to wrap up, creating a roadmap for EA implementation is all about being strategic, phased, and governance-driven, with a healthy dose of flexibility. If you keep your eyes on the business goals, engage your stakeholders, and monitor your progress, you'll be well on your way to making your EA strategy a reality. Thanks for joining me today. There's plenty more to explore in the world of enterprise architecture, so stay tuned for future lessons. Cheers! Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our future uploads. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover next, let me know. If you prefer more detailed info, you can grab a copy of Mastering Enterprise Architecture: Strategies for Business and IT Alignment.